Hi, this is Wendy from Sunflower Publishing. Um, Today I've got a really exciting guest who has just published his can't say that, that's before the wine, debut novel, Caught in the Act. I think it was, yeah, published in January, so it's very, very recent. So we're going to have a chat to him about all things bookish, his book, inspiration. Now, how do I know Jeremy? Jeremy came on our very first writing retreat in Italy, which seems like years ago now, Jeremy, to be honest. And Jeremy was an absolute hoot of a guest. He was always to be had wandering around the villa with a glass of wine and a pen in his hand and making all the other guests laugh. Some of us were never quite serious that he really did want to write a book. We just thought he was there for the crack. But it turns out several years later that he's got to print, so good for you. And the book's now been published. So I think this is absolutely marvelous. And as I said in my email, you must be incredibly proud, and your family must be incredibly proud of this achievement because writing was not your natural habitat, was it?
Um, oh, why do you say that? Why do you ask that?
Your profession.
Well, I mean, I was a lawyer.
Yeah, but I mean,
Uh,
writing
I
as
was, I
in,
was,
you know,
I also did a bit of a stint as a advertising copywriter.
okay,
Um, and I think for me it was natural.
okay,
Um,
progression.
I think, I think words, words are very important, obviously, as a lawyer, because you want to
Yeah,
express everything
yeah, yeah.
so that people don't know what you're talking about, so they have to pay you to understand them.
Right, okay. So let's go.
But
So let's talk about the book then, Caught in the Act.
okay.
Can you give us a synopsis, please?
Well, it starts off with some characters that with whom you might draw some comparison. There's a prince of the realm who's fourth in line to the throne, who gets into a bit of trouble in America, and thinking that he could get away from London with impunity, he decides to go to Puerto Rico without realizing that that's part of America. And he gets arrested by the FBI. And there is a rather unfortunate accident involving his family, which results in him acceding to the throne. So there he is, the king, and he's about to be indicted in America. But a deal is done. He comes back to this country. The people don't like the idea. There's a prime minister who's full of himself and wants to accumulate power. And it's left to two lovely ladies, actually. Obviously, I'm a feminist, um, who are tasked with confronting and maybe saving democracy and sorting out the chaos.
Wow. How did you feel? Have you got a copy there that you can hold up? I see that you've got a poster behind you. Perfect. Because I was going to say, this is a really, really nice. Hold it up a little bit higher so that that's right. So it's been it's under the author name of Jeremy Robin, and that's a really nice cover. Are you pleased with that?
Very much, yes, very much indeed. Yeah, yeah.
So let's go back then to why did you first want to write a novel and talk me through the progression from the early days to now?
Um, well, I think I was inspired with literature, like a lot of people, by a school teacher.
Right?
Um, chap called Bill Cobbett, actually, who was nothing to do with rural rights, but he was the most articulate person I'd known at that stage of my life in the sort of sixth form at school. And he was one of those really mad people that was fantastic at his subject, but he'd turn up to class with one black shoe and one brown shoe, that sort of thing. um, and I was so inspired by him that I actually had to, because he could never keep control of a class, so I actually had to take over.
Oh, that was down to you. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I made everybody listen, and I think most of them appreciated that actually eventually. Um, so yeah, so then I read history at Oxford. Um, I became a lawyer. I also did a bit of advertising, copywriting. So that was a sort of outlet for the creative
Mm,
instinct, if it's there.
mm.
Um, and I have a sort of literary past, and to some extent, my only boast I can make is that I am a first cousin-in-law, twice removed to George Bernard Shaw.
Oh, right. Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so
Oh, I would definitely use that in your in your marketing as a descendant of. It
exactly.
runs in the family, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's not a blood connection, but it's a
No,
family.
but oh wow.
And also my maternal grandfather raised a foster child who then married William Foyle,
Yeah.
who started Foyle's Bookshop, and he
Oh,
used to entertain us at the Trocadero restaurant in Shaftesbury Avenue,
oh
which
right.
is now the Trocadero Centre, but it was quite an exclusive restaurant in those days. He was a great character, and obviously it was a great privilege to know him, even though I was only a little sprog at the time. Um, so uh, so then I found myself uh, just round about um, lockdown or just after. And I was having a conversation. Well, I think it's probably an exaggeration to call it a conversation because it was 2 o'clock in the morning after quite an exciting dinner and a game of snooker. And we kind of, because of our, because of certain connections with certain people, uh, the conversation evolved into plotting out a book
Right.
in its very basic
As you do.
form.
Yeah. At two
Yes,
in the
and
morning.
of course by 5 o'clock in the morning we'd listed the cast for the Netflix.
Yeah, I think everybody that does the book automatically moves, 20 steps forward to who would they have as the main character, and I think that's lovely because I think that just, you have to hold on to something really, don't you, that it's going to be a movie or something like that. So, I can't remember, remind me, had you actually retired when you came to the writing retreat, or were you still working?
uh, well, I'm not certainly not working full time, but
No,
I'm sort of involved in certain entrepreneurial stuff.
activities.
So, but I had quite a lot of time for writing.
Mm.
By that stage, I had uh, time available to devote to writing.
Why did you, what did you like about the idea of going on a writing retreat? What did you hope to gain on that?
Well, I think writing is a quite a solitary
Yeah,
undertaking, and you don't tend to sort of you don't meet many novelists
no.
down at the local
Oh.
Chamber of Commerce or in the sauna at the gym or wherever you might bump into people randomly, or indeed at Waitrose or whatever. So um,
No.
it was the idea of meeting other
Mm,
people on a similar journey
journey.
and to get a bit of inspiration and
Yeah.
also to learn. I'm a great believer in not not. I mean, you got to find out for yourself, but getting knowledge from other people, getting experience from other people. Um, it's like when I took up golf recently. I had played a bit of golf earlier in my life, but I played it rather badly. So I decided next time I do it, I'm going to go and see somebody. They're going to tell me how to do it.
Right.
It
Yeah.
makes life a lot
Yeah.
easier.
Get some instruction.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what I got, as
So
well as as well as the Montepulciano.
and so when you returned home from the writing retreat, then, did you think, oh, well, that was fun, yeah, but let's just shelve that for now and do something else? Or were you fired enough up to get going and make a start on it? Because it's 2 or 3 years now since you came on the writing retreat. So what were your thoughts when you went home? Just, oh, that was a nice holiday, or let's get going on this, or what? What was the progression?
No, I think that inspired me to want to complete it and to get it published.
Right.
Pure and simple. Yeah, it's been a few years, but we can talk about why that is. I mean, part of it was actually finishing it.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, as I understand it, there are those that have their story, if you like, their story completely mapped out before they start,
Yeah.
and they know, the
Yeah.
protagonist's
The pantsers. Yeah.
chest measurement and the toothpaste they use and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm a bit less disciplined than that, and I rather I knew where I was starting. I knew some of the characters, and I
Right.
knew where it was going to go, although I didn't know how it was going to end. Um, but all the characters, most of the plot evolved. I used the characters to push the plot through, to push
Right.
the story through.
Right.
Um, and so sometimes I got stuck
Mm,
and I went away and thought, well,
mm.
I think if I'd be more disciplined, and certain other things in my life happened, so I had
Yeah.
to stop anyway. Life got
Everyone that you do speak to about writing, everyone has a different approach, everyone has a different style, everyone has a different kind of methodology. There are those that say, get up every morning at 8 and write, 10,000 words before breakfast. Other people don't want something quite so structured. It's, yes, I thought of something, I'll go and write that down. How was that for you? Do you feel pressurized to, by listening to how other authors do it? Or do you just think, no, I'm going to have my own style doing this?
I think to some extent one can look at the way other people do it
Yeah,
and say, well, there's a value in that. So
right,
that's
right,
something I'd like to take on board.
right.
Obviously, I say to myself, yes, tomorrow I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock, going to write 10,000 words before I have breakfast. But it's never actually happened that way. But yeah, no. So I have used the writing process,
Yeah.
adapted it to my lifestyle, to my the flaws in my personality, etc., etc.
Did you
Um,
feel you were disciplined enough to approach this? Or, is it very tempting to think, oh, what the heck? I'll go and play golf today. Did you feel that you had the self-discipline to do this? Were there some
well,
days that you thought, oh, what the heck, forget it?
no, I knew I was going to finish it,
Right,
having started it. I think starting it was one of the biggest
right.
hurdles.
Okay.
Once I started, I knew that I could do it. Before it's I think it's quite daunting for most people.
Yeah,
Okay, you know,
yeah,
we've read plenty of books, but actually writing one is a bit tricky.
Absolutely, it is. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge goal, but I mean, it's an incredible achievement. It really is. So many people talk about writing books, but they just never get round to it. So, at what point then, Jeremy, did you have a rough manuscript? Give me the timeline. 1 year after the retreat, a year and a half. At what point did we have the something?
Um, well, I'm just trying to think when it was. So say it was 3 years ago, or 3 years ago next summer, would it be?
Yeah, this summer, yeah.
So it was kind of 2 years ago, last September.
Yeah,
Um, I I think I finished it a year and 2 months later,
right.
and then um, I had some issues about editing and formatting and blah
Yeah,
blah blah.
yeah. And
Which
you took the decision to hand the editing over, the editing side over to somebody. You didn't want to give it to friends or anything like that. You wanted that side of it professionally done. Would you recommend that process?
well, funnily enough, I did hand it to someone professionally. But after that, I handed it to a friend who sorted it out. Who sorted it out? Well, he was he actually I didn't realize before, but before I got into this, but I didn't realize that he was actually been an editor most of his life and a designer, and he is a very good friend, and we play tennis together and all that stuff. But he actually sorted everything out for me at the end.
Mm.
Um, which was kind of the wrong way around, I suppose. But that's just the way.
Well, there's no rules really, are there? What about beta readers? Is that a route that you recommend to people? Hand it round to beta readers, get some feedback before the polished article. Did that happen for you?
No, I didn't do
No, you didn't bother with that.
that. No, I thought even if someone said they don't like it, I'm
They're going to do it
gonna.
anyway. But they're not, I don't think they're there to say that they don't
Well,
like
no,
it.
no, no.
Just kind of, a character analysis or development or, a bit of narrative, something like that. So now we've got rough manuscript, polished manuscript, been edited, happy with it. So how did you decide how you were going to publish this? Because, and I'd like you to talk more about this, because you've gone to a company called Bookvault Publishing, the great British bookshop. Talk me through that. How did you do research on it? Talk me through the process.
Well, I embarked upon the conventional publishing route of approaching agents.
Okay.
So I looked into what you do in terms of a request letter, or what they call it now. When you write a letter to the agent,
Yeah.
standard thing, and you give a resume, and then you send them 10,000 words, and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, they always say, well, you got to wait 3 months, and then they'll tell you they don't like it. But most of them didn't even bother to reply at all. Um,
How did that make you feel? A bit disillusioned with the
um,
industry, or was it what you expected?
well, no, I expected. Well, I suppose what I expected was that most people would say no, and somebody come along and say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I didn't expect everyone just to ignore it completely, which I thought I thought it was rather rude actually. Most people, but maybe they get so many that or it
I'm
goes to
sure they
junk or
do.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I mean, the only people reply. Well, at the beginning, some people said, "Well, thank you for, but it's not. This is not our
Yeah.
our genre or
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided then, that obviously that, and I had a few contacts, and even those didn't, not brilliant contacts, but some sort of contacts, and even those didn't mature into anything. So at that point, I decided, well, I've got to self-publish, and
Mm.
or so yeah. So it's getting a publisher, and everyone said, well, don't pay for it. So of course you approach these people, and whether it's through Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and then you contact them, and then they're constantly ringing you up, and for £900 they say we'll do this,
Yeah,
we'll
I
do
know. I
that,
know.
and they were almost saying, well, we've almost signed you up for a film rights and blah 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 already, even though they hadn't read the bleeding book.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So so I couldn't really see that working. And then I came across some people called Books
Yeah,
Buy.
yeah.
So I joined up with them, and they were, I think it was £100 or something.
Okay.
And they seemed like the sort of that seemed like the right idea. But then when it came to it, uh, I sent them the manuscript. I uploaded the manuscript, and then the editor, Bruce, my friend, he'd worked out uh, what the what the dimensions of the book should be, and what
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the size of the spine
yeah,
should be.
yeah.
And he said, well, what they provided you with. Um, well, anyway, he said they got it wrong, basically,
Okay.
and he said if you follow what they do, your spine's going to be not look right. So I tried to, it's one of those people, one of those situations where there's no phone number, so you can write emails to them, and that's it. And at the beginning, they were uh, writing back to me, but at this point, they just I just got nothing from them. I still 6 months or 4 months later, still haven't heard from them. You
Mm.
know, because they didn't address the problem.
No.
So I thought, right, well, let's find someone else.
Good. Yeah. Find it.
So Bookvault was the next one that I
Right.
found.
Right.
There was the same idea,
Yeah.
but the advantage was it's based in England, um, and B, you don't actually pay anything at all. You just upload your book. I mean, the manuscript and everything, and the dimensions seem to be right. And Bruce was quite happy and said, "Yeah, that works. That's great."
And this is print on demand, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And who did the
Um,
cover? Who did that for you?
that was my friend.
Right. Oh, right. He did.
Well, no, actually, the original. There was an original thing. Was so I said, look, what I want is on the front a picture of the Houses of Parliament, on the back something to do with Buckingham Palace,
Mm.
and so that was sort of provided to me by my previous people that were editing it through their contacts. But then Bruce took it over, and he redid the title for the front cover, redid the colouring, and got another picture for the. I think the front
Show me
picture.
the back. Show me the back. Oh, right. Oh, that's nice. Right. Who came up with the title, Caught in the Act? That was,
Yeah, I did eventually.
yeah,
I took a lot.
eventually. That's one of the hardest things to do. You think if you start with the title, you're good to go. But I think it's a brilliant title. I mean, it is absolutely brilliant, and I'm so looking forward to reading it when I go back to England and I get my copy. Um, so far, are you? I did notice actually on Facebook, someone had said, "Has anybody used, Bookvault Publishing? Does anybody know about them?" And of course, comments are flying. And I said, "Well, actually, I'm going to be interviewing a gentleman whose book is." using this, and someone said, "Oh, wow, send us the link." Are you happy? I mean, I know it's early days, we're only a month in. Are you happy with what they've done so far? Are you happy with all of that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, they've, as I said, everything that they asked of me when I provided it to them. It was, they came up with the right formula,
Yeah.
and the when you go on to the Great British Bookshop,
Yeah.
it comes up,
Yeah.
it comes up immediately, and everyone I know has had a book. It's taken them a week. It's arrived a week later. So
Comparable with Amazon, really, isn't it? It's not on Amazon, is it? It's not something that the Book Vault does. It
well,
doesn't.
I think they can
Oh,
have to
right.
do
Okay.
that.
Right.
But I haven't rushed into Amazon because I wanted to do a little bit more
Yeah.
necessary.
Just let it float around and
Yeah.
build up some traction this way. Yeah.
Mm.
I think that's a good idea. Um, how reviews so far, have they been favorable?
Yeah, but they've all been friends.
Well, that's good. That's good. But going forward, how are you going to market this now? What's the
Well,
plan?
um, yes. So this is my dipping my toe into social
Media.
marketing, social media marketing. So yes, I have my daughter and son-in-law are quite highly involved in that sort of that area to some extent. Um, so they're going to help me with that.
Right.
So the idea is to market it through um, various websites.
Okay.
Um, there's one called Radio HP, which is a sort of tops. Um, so I've got onto that. I've
Right.
got to get that moving. And then I'll do, Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok.
Is that side of things daunting to you? Because I know so many authors love the whole book writing process, but marketing, not so much. It's not for the faint-hearted. Do you find that a little bit daunting?
Well, only if it doesn't work.
Right, okay.
Uh, um,
I mean,
I,
book
I,
signings and
yeah, no, I'm going to be organising some book launches
yeah, oh right.
around the
Oh
country.
wow.
Um,
Good at that.
and
I think you'd be really good at that. That face-to-face thing. I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, a little bit of social media, but I don't think there's anything like going out there in your local community,
no,
and doing it that way, and then people actually see who is this guy, and they see the real you as well. I think that's really nice.
yeah, yeah, no. So yes, I have one my in my local town, Stroud, near there. I'm going to do one in Henley because I've got some friends there. Going to
Okay,
do it. Do one in London,
right,
probably one in Shropshire, maybe one in Norfolk,
right.
maybe one in Scotland or something like that. So,
And is
um,
there
yeah.
another book? Is there
Oh
another?
yes.
Have you got the bug then now, Jeremy? What is
Well,
it, a
yeah. So
sequel or a standalone? How will you do this?
no, it uses the two villains of this book
Right,
uh, and
right,
how they become even more villainous.
right. Oh,
uh,
that sounds interesting.
and and there's going to be um, a lot of it's going to be based in France,
Okay,
in the south of France. So, um,
wonderful.
so it gives me an excuse to go there.
Well, yes, it does. I mean, you were absolutely marvelous on the writing retreat. I mean, whatever needed doing, as I recall, chopping wood for the log fire that because some nights it was a little cool, wasn't it? And you were always out there during everyone else is writing, and you're out there chopping wood. And I remember you saying, I didn't realize this is what you did on a writing retreat, chop wood for the fire. But you threw yourself into this with such enthusiasm and positivity. It was lovely, and just nights sat in the lounge around the fire. You get that sense of community as well. I mean, for me, I think it's just an absolute privilege that you've contacted me to say, I've done it. Here's the book now. And okay, the work starts here essentially as well, because you've got to market this. But yeah, I mean, it sounds so thrilling. And you've really enjoyed it, have you? Would you recommend it to other people
Hmm.
writing?
Um, well, I think you've got to enjoy writing. I mean,
Yeah.
some people don't like it because
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But I think, yeah, I think, uh, like a lot of things in life, once you do something, even if it's not, doesn't come that naturally to you,
Mhm.
you know, if you can get over those few hurdles of procrastination and indecision and
Yeah.
lack of confidence and that sort of thing, then once you get there, then you can enjoy it,
So this
get
is
something from it,
this is something, in
or
between
throw
the
it on the
golf.
fire.
You can spend your time writing now, and hopefully, once you say you're an author to people, um, well, I think it's wonderful. Anything else you'd like to share with anybody? Because I'll be putting this across my social media. If anyone wants to get a copy, what's the best thing to do? Go on to the British Bookshop, is it .com? Give me the website.
Yeah, it's the Great British Bookshop.co.uk,
Oh, .co.uk. Okay,
actually all .com. For
right.
some reason, it goes with both.
So go on
Um,
to that, and you
yeah.
can, so you buy a copy from this website. What's it retailing at the moment?
It's £10, and I think they charge £2.49 for the privilege of it being brought in His Majesty's, sorry,
And
Royal Mail.
genre, what would you tell everyone that this genre is?
I call it a satirical thriller.
A satirical thriller, can't say that, satirical thriller. And
Mm.
for anyone that's not quite sure what that means, you know how on Amazon people say, if you like this book, then you will like this book. Which authors, past or present, would you say that this was in the style of?
Uh, well, I think it's I obviously I'm flattering myself, but I think it's a combination of Tom Sharp,
Okay,
uh, P.G. Woodhouse,
okay.
and Evelyn Waugh,
Wow.
or the sprinkle of Evelyn Waugh.
Well, you are in good company, aren't you? Okay.
Well, you know.
No, that's
Uh,
wonderful. Well, I really wish you all the best and all the success. Yeah, I'll be coming back to the UK in the next month or so I'll pick up my copy and read it. And I'm really proud of you. I never thought you would finish this. I just thought he's just here to taste the wine. He's not serious about writing. But what do I know? You've absolutely proved me wrong completely. And I'm hold it up again so that everybody can see it, please. This is a really super cover, really is. It's a really nice font. And turn it round again. You've gone for a lovely blue, haven't you? And obviously with the palace and everything.
yeah.
So Yeah.
No, it works. It works.
It's lovely. Any dedications in there, Jeremy? Have you dedicated
Uh, yeah,
anyone?
I dedicated it to the Cavendish family,
Right.
who were all involved at some point in terms of. I said for inspiration, input, encouragement, and sustenance.
Wow. Wow.
Sustenance was normally in the form of a red liquid.
So you're on to the next one. Well, all the best anyway. Stay in touch and
Yeah.
yeah, any other advice that you want, anything at all, I'm here, you know I am.
Yeah, just one thing you mentioned about, saying that you're an author. That's uh, it's so much more exciting or interesting uh, to say to somebody, "I'm an author," than "I'm a lawyer."
Do you think? I'm surprised. I always thought people would, meet a lawyer and think, oh, I'll make a note of that, in case I've got a divorce case or something coming up. I mean,
Yeah, I know. I think lawyers are pretty boring.
do you? I don't know. Would you say, final question really then, the skills that you had and developed as a lawyer, were any of them useful writing a book?
Yes.
Okay. And they would be. Yeah,
Well, I think what are they? Well, I think in terms of I mean, as a lawyer, you've got to communicate. You've got to
yes.
express yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to make people understand
Yeah.
you. Uh, and if you're, some of the stuff I was doing, I was in court. So you're telling a story,
Right.
to whether it's to the judge or the jury or whatever. So those are things that all
Yeah.
coming useful, and I suppose there's a certain amount of discipline and organization and logic. I think that's
Mm.
quite helpful.
Mm.
Um, Certainly in the way that I approach it. That I mean, there's obviously that may to some extent um, interfere with your creativity,
Mm.
but the two, are not mutually exclusive by any means.
Well, you are more than welcome to come on any future writing retreat. It would be a pleasure to see you again.
Yes,
But
it'd be fun.
please.
Maybe you can arrange to have some logs next time, so
I
I
think
could
they were
I could
damp or
spend more time
something, weren't
writing.
they? I know there was a problem with those logs, but you really set to this task with such enthusiasm. And when somebody was it the author Angela Pett showed up and she said, "Oh, I see you've got a local man cutting the logs." And we said, "No, that's Jeremy. He's one of the guests." So, but no, it was fun. It was an absolute blast having you, Jeremy. It really was. It was a blast.
No,
Right.
it was good fun, and it was dare I say very well organized.
Thank you.
And you were always
And it was, I never know who's going to arrive. I never know if anybody's serious about writing the book. We can only provide people with the tools and the wine to go with it, really. And then, so the fact that you've come back now with a finished product, a good product, is just wonderful. It really is, and it means a lot to me. It says to me, this is why I'm doing this, posting
yes.
writing retreats.
Mm.
Anyway, I'll love you and leave you. So
Yes.
take
Carry
care.
on inspiring.
Take care, Jeremy.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Wendy.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.